Okay, so this lesson is really going to push you into modeling. We're just going to jump into the deep end and we're going to be learning all sorts of techniques. The goal is to make this Enterprise from the original Star Trek. Notice we don't have any of like the decals on it. We're just really focused on modeling and some basic textures. But before you get started with any project like this, you might be tempted to do it from memory, which is a bad idea. So what I did was I created a folder in my where I'm going to be building my enterprise, and I have a bunch of reference images. Like here's the team. I just think that is a nice picture to show that they were working with a scale model, not like a full-sized enterprise. I have some models of close-ups. This is a toy, but I think it shows some like good detail on how the edges kind of fold over themselves. Here's like some detail of the engines, like what it looks like on the inside. So you can download the textures I think are most useful in Blackboard. Just a few more, like this is cool to see the paneling, and some of the colors look great. Yeah, so, but ultimately your most important reference images, if you can find blueprints, like so many things have blueprints if you just search enterprise blueprints, and luckily I found super high resolution blueprints from all the different sides. So let's hop into Blender, setup. Okay, so when you open Blender, this is what it looks like as usual, but let's get our blueprint set up. So open the properties panel, you can hit this little plus button, or you can just hit the N button. Let me start my screencast key, so the N button. And if you scroll down in the properties panel, you'll see this background images. So if we open the drop down, we can add an image. And let's add the side view. So I'm going to hit open. And I have my, you gotta look for your folder. Mine is in reference images, blueprints, side. So we can't see it now, but if you go into your side view, and if by default you're in perspective mode, so if you go into side view, you might not see anything. Hit 5, so you're in orthographic mode. And right now we could see this from all views. If I'm in front view, top view, we just want it to be viewed from the right side. So once you open your image, instead of saying all views here on the top, say right side. So now if I go into front view, I can't see it, but in right view, I can. And what I like to do is go into wireframe mode so I can see through my cube. So I'm clicking down here, and normally we go to rendered, but now you can do wireframe, and the shortcut is Z. So Z opens wireframe. So now I can see my cube, and I'm going to scale it down on the Z axis, S, and then I'm going to hit Z. I'm just tapping Z, I'm not holding it. And then I'll just scale it on the Y, so S, Y. And all I'm doing is trying to get like an overall, like get a rough measurement of like, okay, this distance. So now if I close this side view, we'll work on it later, but let's add a new image. And instead of all views, I want it from the top. And I'm going to open, and the last folders you open are over in this section right here under recent. So I'm going to go to my blueprints good, open the top. And we don't see anything until we go to top view, and make sure you're in perspective mode or orthographic mode. And this one would have to be rotated -90 and shifted around on the X and the Y. So this is where it becomes kind of a juggling act. You want to go back and forth between the views and start shifting the enterprise into place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this this center hull, I'm going to line it so on this Y axis, this green axis, it's cutting right through the middle. So I'm going to go to the side and just push it up on the Y, and that's a little too high, so I'm going to say like let's go 0.15 or 0.16. So it's kind of going right through the center line. And then on this view, I also want that green line right through the center, so I'm going to push it on the X. So let's do like 0.25 or 0.24. Okay, so the other thing is the back of my box in the right view should be lined up with the back of the Enterprise, and this part cuts right through, like not all the way to that point. So let's see, I think if I just shift it on the Y to about there, that's getting close, but maybe I need to scale this up a bit. So now I can kind of start to see, if I scale this on the X, I can start to see that that box matches with that. And then the last view we would want is the front view. So I'm going to go into front view with 1. I'm going to add a new image, set it to front, open image, blueprints. It's the front back image because it comes with the front and back, but I'm going to push it till it is almost centered and push it up to about there. And I think it needs to scale up because it's not quite fitting that box yet. Now you don't want to spend too much time getting this exact, as long as you're close. So I'm more concerned about centering it. So let's do 2.5. So that is really close. So now we have top view, side view, front view. Okay, and yeah, if you want to look at my settings, you can just pause the video. So in the next video we'll get into modeling, but the thing you would want to do now is save your project because we just spent time getting our blueprint set up. So I'm going to you can do File, Save, or I'm going to do Control S, and I'll call this Enterprise. For me it's final. I've done a few tests with 1 and 2, but Enterprise, final, save, Blender file.